Hey, I'm James from Diamondback Archery. Gonna go over a few points on how to tune your traditional bow. So you have your traditional bow, Recurve Longbow, whichever you got. You have some arrows for it. First thing you're gonna want to do when you tune up is set your brace height. Brace height's the distance between your string and the throat of your grip. The manufacturer of your bow should give you a recommendation, usually a half inch range to set it up. Set it at the low range of that to start with. The way you change it, if you need to increase it or decrease it, just take off your string, twist it or untwist it. You know, if you twist it, it's going to make your string shorter, which makes your brace height longer. And the reason you want to have your brace height right is when you shoot it, so set it at the low end of the recommendation. Take several shots, 4 or 5 shots. You'll feel it if it's too low. You'll feel harmonics, vibration in your limbs. Maybe slapping your arm down by your wrist. That's too low then. You might, your bow might be noisy. So things, brace heights, if you get it just right, increase it a little at a time, 3 or 4 or 5 twists at a time. And you'll feel that sweet spot. The noise will go away, the thunk, the vibration in your limbs, hand shock. Once I feel that go away, that's the spot. That's called the sweet spot. Once you got that set, the next thing you're going to do is get your nock set. Hang your arrow down like that and tap the string. That arrow should fall off. If it's tighter than that, fold a piece of sandpaper, 220 grit, 150 grit, sand a little bit until you get it a little looser. It'll save you some headaches and erratic arrow flight. This is your nock set. It keeps your arrow in the same spot every time. Start out, set it at ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch high, and then we'll lower it a little bit at a time, like 1/32 of an inch at a time, to get that set right. And we'll have to shoot some arrows, and I'll show you what happens if it's too low or too high. Before we shoot, I'm going to start with 3 fletch shafts and 3 bear shafts. You want to shoot from about 15 yards. Get out there and do some shooting. So let's go outside and shoot some arrows. You got your nock set ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch high. This bow, it's already tuned. I've already tuned it. It's set 3/8 of an inch high, and that's right where the sweet spot is on this one. But you set yours at 3/4 of an inch high as a good starting place. Work your way down as you shoot. I'll show you how to, on the arrow impact, I'll show you what you need to do with your nock set. Also, you can go too far down. That's why you want to start high with your nock set. If you go down below center and your arrow's actually lower than center, it'll bump off your shelf and it'll shoot like it's still high. So it seems like no matter where you put it, it's too high. So start high, work your way low. Move it about 1/32 of an inch at a time, just a little bit. And you'll see as your arrows get closer and closer, you're getting closer and closer to the spot you need it. Okay, here I've stuck these in the bales. This is for a right-hander. If you're a left-hander, just reverse it. The nock set doesn't matter if you're right or left, but handed, but left and right windage matters. So I got my fletched arrows shooting they're shooting higher than my unfletched arrows. That means your nock set's too high. So drop it down to 1/32 of an inch. Go back, shoot again. You want to shoot several times. I got 3 shafts of each, 3 fletch, 3 bear. 4 or 5 is even better, you know. Okay, I've adjusted my nock set, and now they're just the bear shafts are just a tiny bit lower than the fletch shafts, so just make a really small adjustment. And if you're not real sure, shoot again before you make any adjustments. Make sure they're consistently shooting this way. Okay, the bear shafts are grouping left of the fletch shafts. That means your arrow's too stiff. Your spine is too stiff. So there's a couple things you can do. When I start tuning a bow, I have several different weights of arrow points, target points. I have 100 grain, 125 grain, 145 grain, which I have here, and I have 170 grain. So to make your arrow spine weaker, you could just add a heavier point. So if you add 125 on there, go to 145. That'll make it stiffer or weaker. There's also, if your arrow's too weak, go to a lighter point. We'll go over that. So we got here, I'm going to add a heavier point. So I'm going to go from 125 to 145 grain and shoot again. Okay, and if your arrow is too weak, the bare shafts are going to shoot to the right of the fletch shafts. That means your arrow's too limber. Go to a lighter point, or you could shorten your arrow, go about a ½ inch at a time. So you don't want to get your arrows before you turn your bow and cut them to length. So normally you want to go your draw length plus an inch or 3/4 of an inch. Don't cut them yet until you get your bow tuned in, because you might need them longer to get the right spine. So if they're too limber, you can shorten them up ½ inch, shoot them again. But when you do shorten them, you got to shorten the fletch feathers, arrows too. They all have to be the same length. So you've got a lighter point or a shorter arrow, gives you a stiffer shaft. When your feathered shafts and your bare shafts are shooting in the same spot, that's your bow's tuned in. You could go back further, 20 yards maybe, and keep shooting, and they should shoot the same. So you're not worried, like when you're shooting your bare shaft, you're not worried if they're shooting in at an angle this way or that way. All you're worried about is where they're grouping, where they're hitting. If they're at an angle, that's not really important. That's why I don't really get into the paper tuning. You're seeing which way it's going. It's not that important. It's where they're hitting is what matters. So if you have them all hitting in the same spot, your bow's tuned in. You're ready to go. If your bow isn't tuned properly, you won't shoot broadheads well. So once you got it tuned in, you can shoot broadheads. You figure out what point you have, what weight point you need, then you can buy broadheads to match your point. And don't ever shoot broadheads, even if your bow is tuned, don't shoot broadheads with bare shafts. That can be pretty dangerous. If your bow's tuned in well, it'll give you a lot more confidence, not worrying about your bow shooting right or having the wrong arrows. If you make a bad shot and you're 2 feet off the bullseye, that's your fault, not the bows or the arrows. I hope these pointers helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to call me or email me. You can check out my website at www.diamondbackarchery.com. Thanks.